First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my fiancé entitled over a dispute over wedding planning? I just got engaged to Anna and we are in the very early stages of wedding planning. We can't afford to pay it for ourselves, but it will be a small do-it-yourself wedding. I knew that my parents were going to offer to pay because I'm the last to get married, and they paid for both of my siblings. Anna and I have talked about my parents' money before, and mutually decided that when they offered to buy us a house, not trying to be an entitled bud, but they bought both of my siblings a house, we are going to decline because it comes with strings attached. My mom drops by whenever she wants, makes executive parenting decisions for my sister and sister-in-law, and Anna and I don't want that. So, we had dinner with my parents recently, and my dad offered us $70,000 for the wedding. I saw Anna's eyes light up. I asked what the strings would be, and my dad said we would have to let my mom help plan, invite a certain number of their friends, make sure the food included things they liked, and if he was spending that sort of money, it wasn't just for us. His wife better be happy. I told Anna it was her call. Anna got upset and said no to the conditions, which I was fine with. Anna then said my parents are selfish, which okay, fair enough. Then she started to beg for the $70,000 without the strings. My dad said that was out of the question. She kept it up, so I changed the subject. The next morning, she told me she was going to call my mom and try to convince her to drop the conditions. I told her that she was being entitled, and they have the right to give conditions. I wouldn't personally do it, but I think it is their right. I told her that if she called my mom, it would embarrass me because of the entitledness. She now thinks I'm on their side, and she's deeply hurt that I used the word entitled because she prides herself on being a hard worker. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. This does comes across a little entitled. It's not our $70,000, and whilst I do think your parents are a bit extreme by offering you money with such extreme conditions, your fiancé shouldn't be calling your parents demanding they give you the money. It's even worse that you'd already discussed exactly this in the past and agreed not to take the money. The conditions aren't that crazy though. Parents get to invite some friends. Mom helps plan. Parents want food we like. Not like mom is wearing a wedding dress and standing on groom's right side at the altar. Mom helps plan wedding is code for mom plans the whole wedding though. You can tell that she would control the whole thing and use the "but I'm paying for it" card every time there was a difference of opinion. OP, not the a-hole. You guys already had a plan. Your fiancé just got distracted by the dollar signs. It stinks that your parents are putting conditions on the money, but it is their right to do so. She begged for the money? Not for something critical, but for a wedding? She embarrassed herself, and you, and sounds entitled. Not the a-hole. Not entitled. Greedy. She's running her dream wedding through her head and is ignoring the warning signs. Not the a-hole. I think you are correct that she's acting entitled. I am so glad you recognize that your parents' money comes with strings. Also, it seems your parents are very upfront with what they expect should you accept their money. I feel like this is totally fair. No one is trying to trick you into taking the money, then making demands. If she wants this super expensive wedding, totally a waste in my opinion, then she has to accept that she will no longer be in charge of it. Your mother will be. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that I can't make my mother apologize to her? I got married recently, and my mom and wife fought over wedding planning. A lot. They didn't like each other too much before, but wedding planning brought out the crazy. My dad ended up pulling all the funding and screwed us. Not trying to be entitled, but things had already been booked when he backed out. We found out that my mom had been talking a lot of crap about my wife. I confronted her, and she said that I am psycho for trying to control what she says, and she's allowed to tell people about her life. I demanded that she apologize, and she said no. I said unless she can respect my wife, she cannot come to my wedding. This is when my dad cut funding. She ended up not coming, and no one from her side of the family came, so that included uncle and all of my cousins. My dad did come, but he ended up throwing a temper tantrum and leaving. After the wedding, I said that my wife is still owed an apology, and that if she can't respect my wife, she can't be in my life. My mom was like, okay, bye. And that was the end of that. My wife brought up last night that she is upset that she never received an apology. I said that is okay, but there is nothing I can do. She got mad and says I should make my mom apologize. I said that I can't make a grown woman do anything, and she got mad and said I need to lay down the law. I already went no contact, so I literally don't see what else I can do. I said that she was being naive and that I can't make her. Now my wife is upset with me. Not an a-hole, but it kind of sounds like your wife is another version of your mom. Exactly what I was thinking. Probably why they didn't get along. Opie is really stuck between two difficult people, it seems. Pleasing one means hurting the other. Mom and wife just need to talk, bury the hatchet, and compromise if they want a relationship. It sounds like they would both love to bury the hatchet in each other's skulls. Not the a-hole. Tell your wife to please stop already. Your mother is never going to give an apology, so she just needs to stop and move on. I get her feelings were hurt, and she's entitled to want an apology. But demanding that you force an apology is ridiculous, and she needs to drop it. You have already explained to her that you can't make an adult do something they don't want to do. And you have already backed her up, supported her through all of this, and went no contact with your family. There's literally nothing more you can do, so she needs to let the idea of an apology go. Honestly, this makes me wonder if Opie chose the right side. You cut off your family for her. She's totally unreasonable, not the a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my husband to pay 100% of our expenses if I extend my maternity leave? I get the title sounds bad, but hear me out please. My husband, 32 male and I, 28 female, are expecting our first child. Up until now, we've always split our expenses according to the percentage of our incomes. For simplicity, let's say he pays 60% and I pay 40% because that is proportionate to our salaries. This applies to our rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, etc. We keep phones, cars, and other things separate. It's very early on in the pregnancy, which is why I can't ask my friends and family this, so looking for unbiased Redditor opinions. We were discussing maternity leave/baby plans, and I told him I thought I'd wait until the baby was 6 months old before going back to work and putting them in childcare. Husband said that he read that it was important for the first year of the baby's life it should be at home bonding with the parents, and asked me to take a year instead. With anti-discrimination laws, my job is held indefinitely until the time I choose to return. However, the issue is that it wouldn't be financially wise for me to take so much time off. I've calculated my paid maternity leave, my annual leave, etc., and how much unpaid time I would need to take up until the child is 6 months old, and I can make it work. Taking another 6 months off would diminish my savings, especially because my expenses will increase greatly with baby. I gave 2 suggestions as a compromise. One, if he wants me to take 6 months of extra leave, he should pay for 100% of the family expenses during that period. That would be what was mentioned in the first paragraph. Then we would split baby expenses at the current ratio and I would pay for the things I already keep separate. 2, he should take 6 months off after the baby is 6 months old and take care of them while I go back to work. I asked for him to think of it as paternity leave. If baby needs 1 year with their parent, then it could be either one of us. I could pump breast milk, or depending on the situation, the baby may be on formula by then. He hates both suggestions. He thinks it's unfair to burden him with all of the family expenses when he's already paying more than I do. His workplace doesn't have paid paternity leave, and taking 6 months off could affect his career progression, and they might replace him. We don't know if his company would hold the job for him, as it's too early to approach them about it. I don't understand why I should have to disproportionately suffer financially for the baby. We've always said we'd be 50-50 in the responsibility for the kid. Me taking more time off would also jeopardize my career progression, and having a kid already interrupts that, and my savings would be far worse off than his. He feels that sometimes you need to sacrifice things when you become a family, but I feel like I'm the only one who is sacrificing anything here. When it was just the 2 of us, expenses were easier. Now that we're going to be a family, it's getting harder to decipher. So am I the a-hole for making these 2 suggestions, or should I be willing to take an extra 6 months off at my own expense? Option 3. He pays you a fair wage for the work you will be doing by staying home and taking care of the baby. Hint, it's not cheap. Then you can pay your normal stuff from that wage. Seriously, this pedantic separation of finances when you share financial responsibility is just doomed. Not the a-hole, Opie. Not the a-hole at all. Not the a-hole. He thinks it's unfair to burden him with all of the family expenses when he's already paying more than I do. You'll be doing the childcare while he is at work. For 40 hours a week, you'll be burdened with all of the nappy changes, the spit up, the keeping a tiny human alive. He's way off the map here. Way more than 40. He's been working hard. You know, he isn't coming home and jumping right to parenting. First, he'll need a few hours to relax. Not day haul. And if you're taking unpaid time, you have no salary, so the percent according to incomes would be 100% husband, 0% you. But the deal wasn't according to our incomes and savings. Not day haul. I'll never understand why people attempt to share a life together but keep separate finances. It's not like you want to take a year-long vacations backpack across Europe. You would be taking time to take care of a child that is both of your responsibility. Your husband sounds really selfish. He wants you to take more time off of work but isn't willing to contribute to the financial well-being and stability of the woman he loves and his new child? Why is money more important to him than his family? The last story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for yelling at my husband to stop eating my food?" I'll keep this pretty cut and dry. I have a lot of food allergies, gluten intolerance, IBS, lactose intolerance. I'm allergic to spinach and kale and other leafy greens in that family. I buy special food for myself, as well as regular food for my husband who does not have any allergies or food intolerances. For some reason, my husband likes to eat my snacks, as well as his own. Instead of going to get a new loaf of bread, he'll open my gluten-free bread and eat all of it. It's been an issue our whole relationship. He says it's because he wants to use all the food before we go grocery shopping again, so nothing goes to waste. Now, I'm 13 weeks pregnant, and the amount of things I can eat are even less. Pretty much the only things I can keep down are these very specific gluten-free crackers that are like $8 a box, and bananas. Yesterday, I came home from my doctor's appointment and found out that he ate my whole brand new box of crackers. I had just gone grocery shopping, and we had plenty of food and snacks for him to eat. When I asked him why he decided to eat pretty much the only thing I can keep down, he said he just grabbed some crackers and didn't see the big deal in that I was overreacting by being upset. He said he knows my pregnancy hormones are out of whack, but I needed to control myself. That made me angry, and I told him he needed to stop eating my food and make me feel bad for being upset, or he wouldn't have a wife anymore. He got really offended and hasn't spoken to me since, and I feel like I overreacted due to my pregnancy hormones, but I also feel like I'm kind of valid in being frustrated by my husband, who has no allergies, eating all my specialty food before I get any. Am I the a-hole? He gets annoyed if I only buy things I can eat. He asks why he has to eat my diet when it's not him that has problems. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. This feels like a weird manipulative power trip. How long have you been married? Have you noticed any other warning signs? Next time you go shopping, buy just 1 billion of those crackers. Nothing else. Since he only seems to want to eat your things, fine. Be petty and only buy your things. I couldn't be in another relationship where I was constantly disrespected, and no matter how much I tried to communicate, my spouse refused to hear me. Nah. If this were the first time, even first handful of times, but he knows the only thing you can hold down are those crackers, and he still did it, and then tried to invalidate your emotions over it? What kind of crazy crap is that? Absolutely not. 100% agree. There is no way he didn't realize he was eating those crackers. Completely disrespectful and manipulative to blame it on pregnant hormones. Yeah, I like that he told her to control herself when the whole problem is his lack of self-control eating snacks. Not the a-hole. Your husband is a huge a-hole. Husband gets to eat everything he wants. Opie, super food restricted. Also pregnant and can eat like 2 things. Husband, I have a great idea. Let's eat the only thing my pregnant wife can eat. Opie, rightfully freaking mad. Husband, shocked Pikachu face. I'm gluten intolerant and a vegetarian, and my boyfriend would never dream of just eating all of my gluten-free stuff. He even bakes me super tasty bread and then doesn't eat any of it if I don't tell him it's okay. Your husband is horrible. I'm a vegan. Makes life very hard, especially with the spinach and kale issues. Not the a-hole. He said my pregnancy hormones are out of whack, but I needed to control myself. He's dismissing your perfectly valid concerns by blaming it on your hormones? You weren't overreacting at all. You literally just asked him why he ate the only food you could eat. That's perfectly reasonable, and it was the dismissal of your feelings that made you angry. Again, which is perfectly understandable. Also, it's crazy that he hasn't spoken to you since. That is not a good way for him to handle disagreements in the relationship. How long has it been? And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for giving the vacation of my ex-fiancé 24 female dreams to her sister and husband? I, 26 male, met my ex's sister in high school when she started dating my best friend. During our senior year, she got pregnant and they married soon after. After high school, I joined the military. I served 6 years before getting medically discharged. Ex and I started dating. I got a good job that would have me leave a couple times a month up to 10 days at a time. While doing last-minute wedding planning, a text from her sister popped up asking, "Have you told Opie about what you did with your ex? If you don't do it tonight, I will tomorrow." I asked her what that was, and she tried to play it off. I kept pressing her and she said that during their bachelorette party, she ran into him but nothing happened. It was an obvious lie, so I went through her phone when she fell asleep. There was text and pictures with him all the way back from when we started dating. They would hook up every time I went on work trips. Then I sent proof to my phone. I woke her up, kicked her out, and ended the relationship. She did the cheater's script. The usual excuses, but I told her Stephanie looked a lot like her ex-boyfriend and showed her one of the screenshots of them together in bed. She started to cry and I gently got her out the door. I canceled all wedding plans and needed some help calling guests to inform them the wedding was off. My friend's wife said that during the bachelorette party, she caught them sneaking away and having intimate time. When she confronted them, she gave my ex the option of coming clean to me herself, or she would do it. She did not know it was an ongoing thing. Now on to our honeymoon vacation. I had planned it so that it would be perfect for my ex. It was a 10-day trip to another country that she has always said was a once-in-a-lifetime bucket list place. There were nice hotels, amazing experiences, and overall her dream vacation. I was already out about 10 grand for the wedding, and more if I canceled the honeymoon trip. So, I made a decision to offer it up to them, since I knew that they never had a honeymoon or any real vacation since they got married young and had kids. Also, they just saved me money and time. They accepted. They were able to get the time off work and had made arrangements for the kids for the trip. My ex found out about it and she flipped out and was calling me and texting me about how much of an a-hole I am for doing that to her. How I knew that it was her dream vacation. How I ruined her life. I also got messages from her friends and some of her family that she lied to and blaming me for the breakup. Her ex even texted me saying that I'm not a real man and then threatened me. She must have gone there last night as he shouldn't have my number. I have not responded to them at all. But am I the a-hole for giving my cheating ex-fiancé's dream honeymoon to her sister and my best friend? Now for the top comments. Take the threat to the police. You owe your cheating ex literally nothing, not the a-hole. Message the ex telling her that Opie will send a full collection of screenshots, minus the photos obviously, to anyone that harasses him over it. That will shut her up real quick. She and her ex actually have the nerve to harass Opie over this? Unreal. I hope her sister will have the best time and won't stop talking about the awesome vacation for years, not the a-hole. And posts lots of pictures on Facebook. The freaking audacity. Her affair partner telling Opie he did something wrong? Look at yourself, bro. You're the one who has been getting it with somebody else's fiancé. I'm not a violent person, but that would make my blood boil. Like, I'd be debating finding this person's family, friends, and boss and sending them the screenshots minus pictures. Hey, y'all know this guy? He's threatening me after he's been sleeping with my fiancé. Just a heads up, I'm going to the cops, so y'all might not see him for a bit. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not lying for my wife in front of her friends regarding me being a stay-at-home parent? When my wife and I decided to start a family, she expressed she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So, we made a plan and set everything up so that she could stay home during the early years. We had our first kid, but she didn't do too well being the stay-at-home parent and had a hard time with it. We still wanted our kids to have a parent at home with them, so we swapped out since her salary was close to mine. 2 kids later and I'm still the stay-at-home dad, working reduced hours remotely. For me personally, it's easier than any job I've had in the past. even the manual labor one. But I recognize that that's just my personal experience. We've touched base on the issue a few times to make sure there's no resentment, guilt, or discomfort on either of our parts. Now, one of our friends from her work invited us and other couples over for dinner. While there, the other couples were talking about childcare in general, and some of the women started sharing their experiences of when they were home. My wife was talking about how she had disliked it and mentioned our arrangement, when one of the women said to me, "Oh, I know you're just itching to get back to having it easy." I responded that I already have it easy, and that for me, being a stay-at-home dad was a cakewalk compared to my office job. I didn't see the point in agreeing with something that just isn't true for me. On the way home, my wife asked why couldn't I just agree with the question and played along. I asked her if she felt bad or guilty that she had a hard time with it, and she said no. So I told her to just forget about it then, because there's no reason for me to lie to make a bunch of other people feel better, so long as it's fine between us. When she got home from work yesterday, she had some attitude, asking me if I had another easy-peasy day, and told me how all day she had to hear from her friends what a smug a-hole I was for making light of their experiences by saying it was a cakewalk. I get that for a lot of people it's hard, but I don't see why I should have to lie about it or fluff someone's ego for not feeling the same way. Am I the a-hole? Additional info. The scheduling, making appointments, taking kids where they need to be, grocery list, school stuff, making sure payments for bills came out, vehicle maintenance, organizing our date nights, finding babysitters, figuring out what needs to be done, falls on me. She keeps tracks of dates important to her family. I keep tracks of dates important to us and my side of the family. I am very detail-oriented. I've done all of that throughout our relationship. We do grocery shopping together on the weekend. I'm interested to know who did all the laundry and housework and cooking. Did this fall to Opie as well? Yes, I do the majority of housework and yard work, all cooking 5 days a week while we share it on weekends, and she only has to put the laundry away once it's already washed and folded. Not the a-hole. When you are doing something you love, it feels easy. I would be so happy if people stopped saying things like this, along with, do what you love and it will never feel like work. It's simply not true. Loving something will not magically make a hard task easy, it just makes it worth it. Opie happens to find being a stay-at-home parent easy. Nowhere in the post even does he say he loves doing it. He simply says compared to his office job, it's easier. But it's true for some people. Maybe not you, but everyone is different. Just because a phrase doesn't relate to you doesn't make it untrue. I love what I do, both for a career and for my hobby. It doesn't make either of them easy. That being said, some things just come naturally to some people and childcare seems to come naturally to Opie. Not the a-hole. People were sharing their experience, and you shared yours. Simple as that. You're only allowed to share your experience if it validates theirs. We're in 2023. Anything that makes people uncomfortable should be cancelled. Opie can disagree and share his experience without the prickish delivery. I personally 100% agree with his sentiments about stay-at-home parent life. He doesn't have to play along, but should be diplomatic. Just say he really enjoys it and is happy with this balance of part-time work/childcare. End of. Imagine if you told someone that you struggled with your coursework, and you bet they are glad they already graduated and don't have to do exams anymore. A response of, "Oh, not for me, it was a cakewalk," doesn't seem arrogant to you, like they are claiming some great superiority of intelligence and ability? This is what Opie did with his phrasing. A little bit of social skills can go a long way. I don't actually really enjoy it though. It's easier in comparison. It's not misery, but is not wholly enjoyable. Yet that doesn't mean I'm counting down the days to get back to work for something easier, as she insinuated. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my sister what she expected after my daughter didn't invite her to her birthday? My 32 female daughter, 16 female, grew up extremely close to my sister, 23 female, because of how small the age gap between them is, and my sister got married in September. However, she decided to have a child-free wedding, and my daughter was not invited. My daughter was extremely upset about this, as my sister always talked about how important my daughter being at her wedding was going to be, and her wedding being child-free completely came out of left field. Recently, my daughter's 16th birthday passed, and she decided to have a small party with me, as well as her father and a couple of other close family and friends. My sister wasn't invited. And when she asked me what time she should show up, I told her that my daughter was still upset about not being invited to one of her most important events. My sister got upset, asking why I was letting my daughter punish her because she had her wedding how she wanted it. I asked what she expected, knowing how close she and my daughter are, and told her she should have known that my daughter would be upset about it. My daughter had a blast at her party, and my sister is still being passive-aggressive towards me and husband. I know it's my daughter's party, and it's supposed to be about her, but my sister's behavior is making me feel doubtful about my decision. So am I the a-hole? Edit. I did initially bring up that my daughter not being invited upset her, but my sister told she wanted the freedom to go wild at her wedding, and that my daughter would eventually get over it. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister got to decide how she wanted her wedding. Your daughter gets to decide how she wants her party. Tit for tat. I hope your sister learns a lesson. The way she is acting, I have a feeling she won't, but I'm sure she will get over it. It's interesting that sister's feelings are important, but the daughter/nieces aren't. Well, she will learn that actions have consequences. It's fine if she didn't want her niece at the wedding, but she can't then be surprised her niece doesn't want her around when she's still feeling hurt. You have to accept that your decisions won't be liked by everyone, and you have to live with less than perfect relationships due to that. I am all for child-free weddings. I also understand that Denise feels hurt that her aunt didn't want her there on her special day. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Your daughter was simply also having her party how she wanted. Child-free weddings are fine to have, but clearly your daughter was hurt by this, and she is allowed to be, and her feelings are valid. Your sister needs to recognize that her choice hurt your daughter. Child-free, I understand, but considering a 16-year-old you were supposedly close with as a child is an insult. I think it's very good that Opie's standing with her daughter. It kind of reminds me of that story of the 21-year-old not wanting her 20-year-old friend at her wedding because she was too young to drink. It must be a slap in the face for someone you considered a peer to suddenly deem you as a child. Sister is not an a-hole for wanting a child-free wedding, but surely this would affect their relationship. Aunt made it clear that niece is ultimately a bracket beneath her, which isn't wrong, but it's going to be obvious now in a way it wasn't before. Not the a-hole. Well done in supporting your daughter in this. Your sister got to have the wedding she wanted, and that's great for her, but her choices have consequences and it's not up to you to protect her from them. Last story. Am I the a-hole because our baby ate off our plates? Today was my brother-in-law's birthday and we had a family dinner. There was the birthday boy, his girlfriend, my husband, me, our baby, their parents, uncle and aunt. We went to a Mexican restaurant and I had steak fajitas. Our baby likes to eat off our plates. He grabbed one of my tortillas, so I tore it into strips for him. He also ate the grilled tomatoes, peppers, and onions off of my skillet and grabbed a piece of steak to suck on. Brother-in-law's girlfriend said that it was unappetizing to see our baby grabbing food off of my plate and giving her anxiety as well because she was worried he would choke. I told her to look at her own plate instead of mine. She was somewhat put out when I said that. Halfway through the meal, my husband took the baby so I could focus on my food and socialize a bit, and baby went to town on hubby's leftover chicken quesadilla. Again, brother-in-law's girlfriend said she was anxious and put off her food. My husband just shrugged at her. After dinner, everyone else was using the restroom and it was the two of us watching everyone's stuff. She told me I was very rude of her and that she was unable to enjoy her boyfriend's birthday because of our poor table manners. I said she should have focused on her boyfriend and her own meal instead of what my husband and I were doing. She said I was a very selfish person. I'm very irritated by the whole thing, but since she was so confident we were a-holes to her, were we? Not a-hole. I honestly have no idea how some people survive in the world without being offended to death. Unless the baby is 7 and licking the plates while making loud slurping noises like my husband's nieces. Lol. Girlfriend is crazy. Keep your eyes on your own food. Or if she let the baby crawl across the table and grab stuff off everyone else's plates. Yeah, that would not be okay. My sister-in-law let my nieces do that to my plate and I wasn't able to eat another bite after. Doesn't sound like the baby ate off anyone else's plate though. Not the a-hole. What did she expect? Your baby to use a knife and fork and make polite conversation? Unless the baby was stealing her food or throwing it at her, she needed to mind her own business. That is what I'm wondering. Did she say what should have been going on instead? Someone should tell her that little kids eating is never a pretty sight, and she needs to get over it. I'm also disgusted if I see babies or even kids eating. sticking their hands in their mouth to lick off the ketchup, which is a crime by itself. They dipped their arms to the elbow in, or putting it in and out of their mouth. And then there's saliva everywhere. It's disgusting. But there's nothing you can do. So just pretend like it doesn't bother you and go on with your life. Not the a-hole. My baby practically only eats off my plate, even if I give her the exact same thing. She wants to grab it herself, from my plate. The comment about choking seems like the kind of veiled judginess you only get from non-parents, who don't actually know anything about babies. Honestly, this is one of the best ways to make sure your kids aren't picky eaters from what I've seen. Put them on your lap, let them grab and sample whatever is on your plate with supervision. Way better at expanding their palate than the bland kiddie menus. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for being mad at my husband who is going to give away $10,000 to his sister without even asking me about it? On Saturday morning, I noticed my husband was sending a lot of text messages back and forth. He is usually not much of a texter. He left the phone next to me to charge while he is in the other room. The phone kept lighting up with text messages when I decided to open it up to see what the big discussion was about. I know some couples view it as a big breach of trust to read through a significant other's phone, but my husband and I do it regularly, so this was not a huge invasion of privacy on my end. We both have nothing to hide, and it has never been an issue before. Anyway, of course, I saw something on the phone that I shouldn't have that got me upset. For background, my husband is 34, I am 32, and his sister is 31. She's in this story. Husband and I have been together for 10 years, married for the last 4 years. We are all college educated with jobs now. My husband and I each make good salaries, around $150,000 each. We own our house. I still have about $60,000 in student loans I am working to pay off. Luckily, low interest rates, so I just pay the minimum. We have about $40,000 liquid in savings. So, we are doing good financially, but still need to build up more savings as we will probably try to start a family in the next 1 to 2 years and want to be prepared for an emergency and have a rainy day fund. Anyway, my husband's sister is trying to buy a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City. I saw in the text messages that my husband offered to give her $10,000 for a down payment. The money is our savings, is our money. Our bank accounts are 100% combined. My husband manages 99% of the finances because I prefer not to deal with it. However, it is understood we consult each other regularly on major purchases. He did not ask me if I was okay with him giving this money to his sister. She didn't ask, he offered. I immediately confronted him, calmly, and was like, Hey, did you tell your sister you would give her $10,000? He said yes. I asked him when he was going to tell me. He said he probably wasn't. He figured I wouldn't notice and said he didn't think I would care about the details. I said, do you think $10,000 is a detail? He said, No, that is a lot of money. I should have told you about it. Are you okay with it? I said, No, I don't think I am. Anyway, we decided in that moment not to give the money. He said he would tell his sister and she would understand. He wanted the issue to go away after that. But I am still mad. I said this was a big breach of trust. I let him control all finances because I trust him to never, ever take advantage of my ignorance. Shouldn't you be able to trust your husband? So now, I don't have that full amount of trust I had before, and I want to open my own bank account, which frankly, I should have anyway. But, am I the a-hole for being totally upset and feeling betrayed about this? I grew up poor, and $10,000 is a ton of money to me. I mean, to most people, right? I am horrified he would consider gifting it away and not even telling me. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. When you have joint savings, it's not a single person to do what they want with it. My wife and I have our individual savings and a joint, which is accumulating for our future home. He's the a-hole for making a decision about the money without you. It's a good thing he relented and decided not to go through with it. After reading the horror stories on here though, you might want to keep an eye on your bank accounts. That is my fear that 10 years from now, There will be another incident, but it will be $50,000. You know the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I don't want to be the fool in 10 years. In my opinion, it's time to start managing the finances. Yeah, it's no fun, but you should at least be checking bank/credit card statements every month. Trust in your husband aside, I found plenty of mistakes on mine, like double billing and charges that weren't mine that you two might think are each other's if you aren't both looking them over. And always check the cable bill. There is always effery in there. Example, I got billed for 3 months for a Hindi language package. No one in my house ordered it or speaks Hindi. I agree 100%. Honestly, money, more the lack of money, just really stresses me out and gives me anxiety. I used to live month to month after college in my early 20s because I had very expensive student loans and an entry-level job with pricey New York City rent. That is why I have, in the past, avoided finances. I think it is time to change that, especially as I begin making more serious money. I asked him when he was going to tell me. He said he probably wasn't. He figured I wouldn't notice and said he didn't think I would care about the details. The hell? You're not the a-hole, and this is really, really weird. I think you are very right to want to protect your money right now and get into counseling with your husband ASAP. He's trying to play this off as a minor thing when it very much is not. It was so weird and out of character for him. I really believe his heart was in the right place. He wanted to help his sister, but at the expense of his wife, me. And agree, he is now trying to play it off as minor, and I'm like, I don't think I can just let this one go. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé his sister cannot come over anymore? My fiancé, Jake, and I have been together for 4 years now. We had a little relationship in high school, but broke up, and met again a few years later. I have a child, 6 male, from a previous relationship, and a toddler, 2 male, with Jake. Jake has a big, embracing family to say the least. His grandparents bought us the house that we're living in, and since my oldest son's dad isn't in his life, Jake has completely stepped up. To get to the main point, Jake's mom stays with us a few nights out of the week, since she works right down the road and loves to spend time with the grandkids. I love her dearly and have no issue with her, and have even offered for her to move in. She watches the kids when she's here and picks up too. Jake's little sister, female 18, Sarah, comes over maybe once every other week. A few days ago, her boyfriend broke up with her and she spent the night at our house. I don't have anything against his sister, and she's great with the kids. But she always asks her mom if she can come over, not me. I talked to Jake's mom about this, and Jake's mom said that Sarah just assumes she asks me and Jake for her. I don't like that. Today, Sarah messaged me and apologized and asked if she could come get her shoes she left from the other night. I said yeah, I guess. My oldest son missed her, and I guess she told her mom she was coming by to see him. But he was doing homework, and I wasn't going to stop him. Sarah told Jake before leaving she was disappointed to not see my son, but that she'd try to swing by again next week. I said, absolutely not, to Jake. She looked hurt and left and was crying. Jake went off on me and asked me why I did that, and I told him. She has no respect for my authority in the house and continues to go around me to ask permission. She asked today, last minute. It's just really disrespectful. Jake is sleeping on the couch, and now I'm really wondering if I am in the wrong and if I should consider letting her come back over. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. It's yours and your fiancé's house. She can ask him and not you. You don't have sole authority. Do you really make every single one of your guests ask both of you? Because that's the only way this would make sense. Although, who does that? And she forgot her shoes. Asked to come get them, and to you, that's too last minute? Seriously, if someone forgets something in your house, you expect days' notice to come pick it up? You're being ridiculous. Honestly, I'd be careful if I were you. You don't want to start a fight with his sister, where his whole family would probably back her up. Also, the kid might be shy. Hell, married adults will ask their spouse instead of the family for fear of not being a burden. Look at the way you reacted. Of course, she doesn't feel comfortable. She might be 18, but she is just kid, and she apologized. You allowed your insecurities to cloud your ability to see beyond yourself. You're the a-hole. I feel like I got whiplash from the way Opie told things. Sister-in-law asked Opie for permission to get her shoes. Opie said yes. Then sister-in-law, probably offhanded while saying bye to her brother, said something like, "Too bad I missed nephew today. Mind if I swing by again?" Imagine their surprise when Opie blew a gasket. Sheesh. Also, in-laws usually defer to their direct relatives more than their in-laws. Sister-in-law probably just feels more comfortable asking her bro for favors than talk to Opie. I wonder why. I am not sure what she has done that's such a big deal she needs to be banned entirely. I am willing to bet there is a reason she doesn't like to talk to you. You seem pretty uptight, to be honest. She apologized, and then you proceeded to tell her she can't come over anymore? Most people would be really happy that a family member cares about their kids so much. But you want to punish a teenager because she doesn't do things how you like. Maybe you should work on making her comfortable enough to ask you. Also, if you think his family is so great, you should reconsider this nonsense and apologize to her. Picking a fight with his teen sister is bound to go badly for you. They aren't going to pick you over her. You really want to make your in-laws dislike you, or what? You're the a-hole. I feel more comfortable talking to my dad than my stepmom and asking him for things, even though my stepmom is a great person. I am 27 and they have been married for years. It's always easier to talk to someone you have known your entire life, as opposed to someone you barely know. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for being mad at my wife for not taking my son with his stepbrothers on her family trip? I, 37 male, been married to my wife for 3 months now. I have a 9-year-old son, Adam, with my late wife who passed away from cancer on 2016. I got to say, my son suffered a lot during and after his mother's death. It was an incredibly difficult phase, and he hasn't been able to go to school and talk to other kids. With therapy and time, he was able to get better, but he's still receiving education at home. Therefore, he doesn't have a lot of friends. But he formed a strong relationship with his stepbrothers, 11 Jake and 6 Aaron. My wife divorced her ex and took full custody years ago. Adam is especially very attached to his big brother Jake. They do everything together. Literally, there's no way they wouldn't see each other for a day. They tell each other everything. This bond they have makes me feel so grateful that my son is finally starting to be happy and have fun with other kids. I don't even believe how Adam used to be before meeting his stepbrothers. However, there's been an issue with my wife's family. They don't like having me and my son visit, and they'd either tell my wife to take Jake and Aaron over to their house, or ask to meet somewhere where neither me nor my son are around. I tried mending the relationship with them, but they never accepted me as family. They'd even teach Jake and Aaron to call me with my first name, even though I have no problem with being called Dad. A few days ago, my wife told me her family wanted to take her and the kids to their cottage house for a few days as they gather and do this every year. I asked her if Adam was going too, and she told me that her family only wants her kids, saying just family can come. My wife said it was just a few days and the kids will come back. Thing is, Jake and Aaron already told Adam that they were going to the cottage house and Adam wanted to go with them. After Adam started crying, my wife said she didn't want to tell me and wanted to apologize for not going, but she said the kids now want to go and that I should take Adam somewhere till the kids come back. I got mad when she told me this, and we argued about how her family was being unreasonable and treating my son as less. She said they just wanted to have a private holiday with the kids and kept making excuses. She told me she'd talk to her family, but there's a slim chance they'll change their minds. I'm mad long, as she's still going without taking Adam, and she says I'm being selfish and unfair toward my stepkids. That I should let them go, but Adam is already asking me questions and seems pretty upset. Edit for those who are asking about differences. We're both Europeans, we're both Christians, and we both have jobs that are not so different. I think it has a lot to do with their daughter getting married again after staying a single parent for years, and then marrying someone with a kid. At least, this seems to be the issue her mom has, and everyone seems to agree with her behavior, including my wife who keeps caving to their wishes in regard to everything that has to do with me and my son. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your wife and her family are horrible, treating a 9-year-old who lost his mom as not real family. My heart breaks for your son. He's an a-hole for being married to a woman who lets her family treat his son like that. He talks like it's been going on a long time. He made a very bad choice here. Everyone sucks here, except Adam and the other boys. Not the a-hole. She's telling you her family doesn't accept your son as their family, and she's okay with it. She's enabling it. And she probably wants it that way. Good luck in your marriage. This would be the biggest deal breaker for me. The wife is allowing for this divide to occur without any resistance on her part. If my family did that to my spouse, you best bet I would defend my spouse and cut contact with my family until they reform their behavior and thinking. Not the a-hole. I would tell her straight up that if she leaves your son behind, you will take it as a proof that she is okay with her family not considering him part of the family, and will make that official via divorce. Non-negotiable. No whining or excuses or trying to make you out to be the bad guy. If she goes without Adam, your marriage is over. If she won't stand up for your son, then she does not deserve to act as his mother in any way, shape, or form. Your son deserves better, and he needs you to make sure he gets it. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.